The Hollow Hiker. Mark Thompson had come to the Appalachian Trail to disappear for a while. Not forever, just long enough for the static in his head to quiet down. 3 months earlier, his wife Sarah had packed her things and left their Atlanta apartment without a note. The divorce papers arrived by courier 2 weeks later. No screaming matches, no affairs he knew of. Just a quiet unraveling, like a rope finally giving way under too much weight. He'd sold the condo, quit the graphic design job that paid well but meant nothing, and pointed his old Subaru towards Springer Mountain, Georgia. A section hike. Maybe a through hike if the mountains let him. Either way, the trail didn't care about his failures. It only cared if you kept walking. He started in late April, when the rhododendrons were just beginning to bloom and the black flies hadn't yet turned vicious. His pack weighed 42 pounds. Tent, sleeping bag, bear canister, Jetboil stove, a week's worth of food in a stuff sack that smelled faintly of peanut butter and freeze-dried chili mac. Red osprey backpack, faded navy bandana tied around his wrist like a talisman. The first days blurred into a rhythm. Wake at dawn, cold soak oats with powdered milk and dried cranberries. Filter water from streams that tasted like iron and moss. Hike until his legs burned, set up camp before full dark. He passed the occasional northbound through hiker with trail names like Switchback or Summit Fever, shared a fire, traded stories, then kept moving. Solitude suited him. The forest didn't ask questions. By day 4, he'd crossed into North Carolina, somewhere past Bly Gap and the old gnarled oak that marked the state line. The trail here was relentless. Steep climbs up rocky spines, descents into rhododendron tunnels so thick the light turned green and watery. He averaged 12 miles a day, enough to feel accomplished but not broken. That evening, he aimed for Muskrat Creek Shelter, a 3-sided wooden lean-to tucked in a cove near a reliable spring. His guidebook said it slept 6 comfortably. Perfect for one man and his ghosts. Dusk came fast in the hollows. The air cooled, carrying the sharp scent of pine sap and damp earth. Mark's boots crunched on last year's leaves as he rounded the final switchback. There, leaning against a tree just off the trail, stood another hiker. Same red osprey pack, same faded navy bandana, this one knotted around the neck. Same height, same build, same scruff of 3-day beard. The man lifted a hand in greeting. "Mind if I walk with you the last bit?" The voice was Mark's own, low, a little hoarse from disuse. Been hiking solo too long, starting to talk to the trees. Mark laughed, the sound startling him. "Yeah, same. Trail's all yours." They fell into step easily. The stranger introduced himself as Echo. Trail name, obviously. Mark gave his real name. No need for games out here. They talked about the usual things. Water sources, the brutal climb up Albert Mountain earlier that week, how the last resupply in Hiawassee had been picked clean of decent ramen. Echo knew the trail well. He described a hidden waterfall just off the next ridge that the guidebooks never mentioned, and the best spot for cell service near the next gap. His boots made almost no sound on the gravel, but Mark chalked it up to lighter gear or better technique. As they approached the shelter, the moon rose fat and silver through the trees. Mark flicked on his headlamp. The beam caught Echo's silhouette against the darkening woods. No shadow stretched behind him on the ground. Nothing at all. Mark blinked, rubbed his eyes. Fatigue, probably. Dehydration played tricks after long days. They reached the lean-to. Empty, thank God. No one snoring inside, no gear sprawled across the planks. Mark dropped his pack with a groan and stretched his back. Echo did the same, mirroring the motion exactly. "Want to split a pot of coffee?" Mark asked, pulling out his stove. Echo smiled. Sure. Black, like you take it. Mark paused. He hadn't said how he took his coffee. They built a small fire in the ring out front, against better judgment, but the night felt colder than it should. Flames crackled, sending sparks spiraling into the canopy. They ate in companionable silence. Mark's chili mac reconstituted with boiling water. Echo declined food, saying he'd eaten earlier. The stranger's face looked off in the firelight, familiar in a way that itched at the back of Mark's skull. Like staring at an old photo of yourself and noticing the eyes don't quite match. "You been out here long?" Mark asked. "Longer than you'd believe." Echo stared into the flames. "Some days feel like weeks. Others, like I never left the last shelter." Mark nodded. He knew that feeling. Time stretched strangely on the trail. Days without mirrors or clocks warped your sense of self. He pulled out his phone, no signal, as expected, and checked the time. 9:47 p.m. The forest had gone utterly quiet. No owls, no rustling underbrush, just the fire and their breathing. Echo stood suddenly. "Mind if I take the left side of the shelter? I sleep better facing the trail." "Sure." Mark busied himself hanging his food bag on the bear cables. When he turned back, Echo had removed his hood. The face was Mark's, down to the small scar above the left eyebrow from a childhood bike crash. But the eyes. The pupils were vertical slits, like a goat's, reflecting the firelight in an unnatural gold. The smile widened, revealing too many teeth, crowded and sharp at the edges. "You're not supposed to be here yet," Echo whispered. Voice still Mark's, but layered now, like an echo in an empty room. "But I can fix that. Trade places. You get the quiet. I get the walk." Mark's stomach dropped. He stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a root. "What the hell are you?" The thing wearing his face tilted its head. "I'm what stays when the real one leaves, hollowed out, waiting for the next tired soul who wants to vanish." It stepped closer, boots still silent, no shadow. "Sarah left, job gone. What's left for you back there? Here the trail goes on forever. No endings, just walking." Mark's hand found the knife on his belt, the small fixed blade he carried for odd jobs. He didn't remember drawing it. "Stay back." Echo laughed, a wet clicking sound. "Run if you want. They always do at first, but you'll see me again. Every hollow, every lean-to after dark. I'm patient." Mark bolted. He ran without his pack, headlamp beam bouncing wildly. Branches whipped his face, drawing blood. Roots grabbed at his ankles. Behind him came no footsteps, only a low whistle, like wind through a hollow log, that mimicked his own panicked breathing. He ran for what felt like hours, lungs burning, until the trail spilled him out onto a gravel Forest Service road. A distant highway hummed somewhere ahead. Dawn broke gray and unforgiving as he staggered into the small trail town of Franklin, North Carolina. His clothes were torn, face scratched. He found a payphone at a gas station, miracle it still worked, and called his sister back in Atlanta. No answer. He tried his parents. Voicemail. The ranger station sat across the street. Mark stumbled in, legs shaking. A bearded man in a Forest Service uniform looked up from his desk. "Lost your gear?" the ranger asked, not unkindly. Mark explained in a rush. "Solo hike. Strange encounter at Muskrat Creek. Doppelganger thing." The word sounded insane even to him. The ranger's face tightened. He pulled a folder from a drawer and slid a missing person flyer across the desk. Mark stared at his own face. Recent photo, the one from his driver's license. Big, bold letters. Missing since April 12th. Last seen at Springer Mountain Approach. Reward for information. Today's date on the wall calendar read May 3rd. 2 weeks. He'd been hiking for 4 days. Or something had. "You've been reported missing for weeks," the ranger said gently. "Search teams covered the area. No sign. Your car's still at the approach lot. Family's been calling every day." Mark backed away, heart hammering. "That's not possible. He fled the station. In the bathroom mirror at the gas station, his reflection looked right. But when he stepped outside, the morning sun cast no shadow behind him on the pavement. Not at first. Then it did. Long and wrong, moving a half-second too late. He hitched a ride back toward the trailhead somehow. Numb. The driver, an older woman shuttling hikers, chatted about bear sightings and how the mountains keep what they take. Mark didn't reply. At the parking lot, his Subaru sat covered in pollen and bird shit. Inside, his reel pack, untouched. The one he'd dropped at the shelter was gone. On the passenger seat lay a faded navy bandana. Not his. He hadn't left it there. That night, he slept in the car. Dreams of endless trail, switchbacks spiraling into nothing, a figure ahead wearing his face and waving him onward. He never went home. Not really. Months later, hikers on the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina reported a friendly soloist named Mark. Red osprey pack, navy bandana. Great stories about hidden waterfalls. He walks quietly. Never casts a proper shadow after dusk. Sometimes he offers to share a lean-to. Most say yes. A few, the tired ones carrying heavy things inside, say yes and never make it to the next shelter. On the other side of now, the trail keeps going, and something hollow keeps walking it in your place.
This has been a story from the other side of now. If you enjoyed this story, like, comment, and subscribe.